The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor the exact moment Shayla's lips crashed against Jin's. His fiancée's scream pierced through the charity gala like a knife, but Shayla didn't pull away. She couldn't. Not yet. Not when she could see the red laser dot that had been aimed at Jin's chest now dancing erratically across the wall behind them. "What the hell are you doing?" Jin's words came out muffled against her mouth, his body rigid with shock. Shayla pressed harder, her hand flying up to grip the back of his neck, forcing him to bend lower, to move just 3 more inches to the left. The laser dot swept past where his head had been seconds ago. "Don't move," she whispered against his lips. That's when the first gunshot cracked through the ballroom. If you're already hooked and want to see where this goes, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a like on this video and comment below what time it is where you're watching from and what city you're in. I love seeing where you all are tuning in from. Now let's get back to the story because things are about to get wild. Chaos erupted. Women screamed, men shouted, the elegant crowd of Seattle's wealthiest donors stampeding toward the exits in their $1,000 gowns and tailored suits. But Jin's fiancée, Minji, didn't run. She stood frozen, her perfectly made-up face contorted with rage and confusion, staring at her fiancé locked in a kiss with a woman she'd never seen before. Shayla finally broke away, grabbing Jin's hand. "We need to move. Now. I'm not going anywhere with you until you tell me what." Another shot. Closer this time. A crystal chandelier exploded above them, raining glass like deadly snow. "Jin!" Minji screamed, reaching for him. But Shayla was already pulling him toward the service entrance, her 4-inch heels somehow not slowing her down as she navigated through the panicking crowd with the precision of someone who'd mapped every exit before she'd even entered the building. "Let go of me." Jin yanked his arm, but Shayla's grip was iron. "You want to die? Because that's what happens if you go back to her right now." "What are you talking about? Who are you?" Shayla kicked open the service door with her foot, pulling him into the stark fluorescent lighting of the kitchen corridor. Staff members rushed past them, fleeing toward the back exits. She finally released him, spinning to face him with eyes that burned with an intensity that made him take a step back. "My name is Shayla Washington, and 3 hours ago I was hired to kill you." Jin's face went pale. Even in the harsh lighting, even with his perfectly styled hair now disheveled and his bow tie askew, he was handsome. Shayla had noticed that the moment she'd first seen his photograph in the file. She'd noticed it and forced herself not to care. "This is insane. I'm calling the police." "The police can't help you. The man shooting at you. He's going to tell them he was aiming at someone else. There's already a setup in place. A jealous ex-husband of one of the donors, they'll say. Wrong place, wrong time. Tragic accident. You'll be dead before anyone realizes you were the real target." Jin pulled out his phone, but Shayla slapped it out of his hand. It clattered across the tile floor. "Hey! Listen to me." Her voice cracked with urgency. "Your business partner, David Chin, took out a contract on your life. $200,000. I know because I was supposed to collect it." "David? That's ridiculous. We've been friends since college. We built our company together. And now that company is worth $400 million and he wants it all." "Wake up, Jin. Why do you think he insisted you announce the merger tonight? At this gala? In front of all these witnesses?" Shayla's chest heaved, her heart still hammering from the adrenaline. It was supposed to look like a tragic accident. Random violence. You'd die a hero, probably shielding your precious fiancé. The sound of sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Jin stared at her, his dark eyes searching her face for any sign of deception. "If you were hired to kill me, why didn't you?" That was the question, wasn't it? The one Shayla had been asking herself from the moment she'd made the decision that had just blown up her entire life. "Because I did my research. Because I found out who you really are, and what you do with your money. She swallowed hard. 3 years ago, my little brother Marcus got shot in a drive-by. He was 15. The hospital wanted to turn him away because we couldn't pay. Your foundation covered his entire treatment. Anonymous donation. You saved his life. Jin's expression shifted, softened slightly. The Second Chance Initiative. We've helped thousands. I don't care about thousands. I care about Marcus. He's alive because of you. So when I saw your face in that file, I couldn't. She turned away, her voice dropping. I couldn't do it. But someone else will. Someone else already is. The guy shooting. That's my replacement. When I didn't confirm the kill by 9 p.m., they sent backup. Jin ran a hand through his hair, his mind visibly racing. Okay. Okay. So we go to the police, we tell them. Tell them what? That a hitwoman decided not to kill you. I'll go to prison. And you'll still be dead because David has money and connections and he won't stop. Shayla grabbed his arm again, but gentler this time. There's only one way you survive this. Which is? You disappear. Tonight. Right now. Let everyone think you died in that shooting. That's insane. Minji is out there, my family, my employees. We'll mourn you and move on. Better than actually burying you. Jin's jaw clenched. I won't do it. I won't just abandon everything I've built, everyone I love. Then you're a dead man walking. They stared at each other in the harsh corridor, the sound of police radios crackling somewhere nearby. Jin's phone buzzed on the floor where it had fallen, Minji's face flashing on the screen. Call after call after call. Why should I trust you? He finally asked. For all I know, this is part of the plan. You get me alone, you finish the job. Shayla reached behind her back, pulling out the compact 9mm she'd had holstered beneath her dress. Jin flinched, but she flipped it around, offering him the grip. Take it. If I'm lying, shoot me. If I'm telling the truth, we need to move in the next 60 seconds before this place is completely locked down. Jin stared at the gun like it was a snake. I've never. I don't know how to. Of course you don't. Shayla almost smiled. Almost. You're one of the good ones. That's your problem. Somewhere above them, heavy footsteps thundered. Police. Security. Maybe the shooter, she couldn't be sure. Jin, please. I know I'm asking you to trust the person who was supposed to kill you. I know how that sounds. But right now, I'm the only thing standing between you and a body bag. His phone stopped ringing. Started again immediately. If I do this, he said slowly, if I go with you, how long would I have to stay hidden? Until I can prove David's involvement. Until I can find evidence that keeps you safe. You're a hitwoman, not a detective. I'm a lot of things you don't know about yet. The footsteps were getting closer. Jin closed his eyes. Took a breath. Made a decision that would change everything. Let's go. Shayla felt something loosen in her chest. Relief. Fear. She wasn't sure which. She grabbed his hand again and ran. They burst through the back exit into the Seattle night, rain pouring down in sheets. Shayla's car was parked 3 blocks away, exactly where she'd positioned it for a quick getaway. She'd just planned on being alone when she used it. Stay close. Don't talk. If anyone sees us, you're my drunk boyfriend and I'm taking you home. I don't think anyone will believe. They will if you sell it. Now come on. They moved through the alley, Shayla's heels clicking against wet pavement. She could feel Jin behind her, his breath coming hard, his whole life imploding with every step. Halfway to the car, he stumbled. She caught him. I can't. Minji. I have to call her. She's pregnant. Shayla's heart stopped. What? She's pregnant. 8 weeks. We just found out. We weren't going to announce until after the merger, but... His voice cracked. I can't let her think I'm dead. I can't do that to her. To our baby. This was the part of the job Shayla had always hated. The human details. The collateral damage. The lives that spun out from every decision like ripples in water. If you call her, she becomes a target too. Don't you get that? David will know you're alive. He'll use her to get to you. She's carrying my child. And she'll keep carrying that child a lot better if she's not being used as bait. Shayla's voice rose, echoing off the brick walls. She forced herself to lower it. I'm sorry. I know this is hell. But you call her now, you sign her death warrant along with yours. Jin's face crumpled. For a moment, he looked like he might break down entirely. Then he straightened, wiped the rain from his face, and nodded. How long? What? How long until she's safe? Until I can contact her. I don't know. Days. Maybe weeks. She'll hate me. She'll be alive. They reached the car, a nondescript Honda Shayla had purchased cash under a fake name 3 months ago. Always prepared. Always one step ahead. Except this time, she'd thrown away the whole playbook. As Jin climbed into the passenger seat, looking lost and terrified and nothing like the confident tech CEO who'd been giving a speech about charitable giving an hour ago, Shayla wondered if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. Or maybe the first real choice she'd made in years. She pulled into traffic, heading south, away from the sirens and the chaos and everything Jin had ever known. Where are we going? He asked quietly. Somewhere safe. I have a place. Off the grid. How very spy thriller of you. My life is a spy thriller. Welcome to it. They drove in silence for 20 minutes before Jin spoke again. That kiss. Back there. That was to move me out of the shooter's line of sight. You were standing perfectly still. Gave him a clear target. I needed you to move without making it obvious that I was moving you. And you couldn't just push me. Yell a warning. Would you have moved fast enough? Or would you have looked around first, tried to see what I was warning you about, frozen like people do? Shayla kept her eyes on the road. The kiss was instinct. Shock value. Your body responded before your brain could overthink it. Minji's going to think I'm having an affair. Better than dead. Is it? Shayla didn't answer that. Take a moment and tell me what you think is going to happen next. Drop your predictions in the comments. Do you think Jin made the right choice? Do you think Shayla can really protect him? Let me know your thoughts down below. They reached the safe house just after midnight. It was a cabin about 90 minutes outside Seattle, buried in the woods, purchased through so many shell companies that even Shayla sometimes forgot the paper trail. She'd used it twice before. Once to hide from a job gone wrong. Once to hide someone she'd pulled out of a trafficking ring, instead of eliminating like she'd been paid to do. That girl had made it to Canada. Last Shayla heard, she was alive and free. Sometimes doing the wrong thing for the job was the right thing for your soul. Jin stood in the small living room, dripping rainwater onto the hardwood floor, looking like a man in shock. Probably because he was. There's a bathroom upstairs. Towels in the closet. I'll find you dry clothes. Whose clothes? Does it matter? He laughed, but there was no humor in it. I guess not. Nothing matters anymore, right? My whole life just ended. Your life didn't end. It changed. There's a difference. Tell that to Minji. Tell that to my parents. My sister. Everyone who's going to think I died tonight. Shayla set her purse down, pulled out her gun, and placed it on the table. You want to go back? I'll drive you right now. You can walk into the police station, tell them you're alive, hold a press conference. By tomorrow afternoon, you'll be dead for real. Your choice. Jin glared at her. You know I can't do that. Then stop whining about it and accept the reality you're in. Whining? My fiancée is pregnant with my child and she thinks I'm dead. That's not whining, that's a tragedy. I know. I get it. Shayla moved closer, her voice softer now. But you falling apart doesn't help her. It doesn't help your baby. The only thing that helps them is you staying alive long enough for me to fix this. And how exactly are you going to fix this? You're an assassin, not a miracle worker. I'm an assassin who knows how this world works. I know the players. I know how to follow money, how to dig up dirt, how to make powerful men very uncomfortable. She crossed her arms. David Chin thinks you're dead. That gives us an advantage. He's going to get sloppy. He's going to celebrate. People make mistakes when they think they've won. Jin sank onto the couch, putting his head in his hands. When he looked up, his eyes were red. I should hate you. You probably should. But you saved my life. I did my job. Just not the one I was paid for. Why? He stood, moving toward her. You said it was because of your brother, but there's more, isn't there? You could have just warned me. Anonymous tip. Instead, you threw away your whole life too. Why? Shayla felt the weight of his gaze. She'd asked herself the same question 100 times in the past 3 hours. Because I'm tired, she finally said. I'm tired of being the thing that ends people. I'm tired of looking in the mirror and seeing a killer. Your foundation saved my brother, yeah. But maybe this is me trying to save myself. The confession hung between them like something fragile. Jin stepped closer. How did you become this? How does someone become a hitwoman? A murderer? Shayla laughed bitterly. You want the whole tragic backstory. Grew up in Detroit, foster care, aged out of the system at 18 with nothing. Met the wrong people who saw I was desperate and smart, and willing to do things other people wouldn't. They trained me. Gave me purpose. Money. And somewhere along the way, I forgot I had a choice. Until tonight. They stood there in the dim cabin, two people whose lives had collided in the most violent way possible, now tied together by survival and secrets. Jin's phone buzzed. They'd turned it off but powered it back on briefly to check something. Now the screen lit up with notification after notification. News alerts. Missed calls. Text messages. He picked it up with shaking hands, scrolling through. They're reporting casualties. 2 people dead. 5 injured. His voice broke. This happened because of me. This happened because of David. Don't take on his guilt. How can I not? If I had just seen it, if I had just. You trusted your friend. That's not a crime. Jin kept scrolling. Then he froze, his face going white. What? Shayla moved to look at the screen. It was a news article, just posted. The headline made her blood run cold. Tech CEO Jin Park missing after charity gala shooting. Fiancé Minji Song being questioned by police. No, Jin whispered. No, no, no. They think she had something to do with it. Shayla grabbed the phone, reading faster. The article was short, mostly speculation, but it mentioned that police were questioning everyone who had been close to Jin, including his fiancée, who had been arguing with him before he disappeared. It's standard procedure, Shayla said, trying to sound calm. They question everyone. But Jin was already spiraling. David's doing this. He's making sure everyone thinks either I'm dead or I ran away. Either way, he gets the company. And Minji, his voice cracked. She's pregnant and being interrogated like a criminal. Jin, listen to me. No. He stood abruptly. I'm done listening. This was a mistake. All of it. I'm going back. You'll die. Maybe that's better than this. At least Minji would know the truth. She'd also be dead. Shayla grabbed his arm. You think David won't tie up loose ends? You think your pregnant fiancé is safe just because you're not around? She's leverage. The moment David realizes you might be alive, she becomes a target. Then what am I supposed to do? Just hide while she suffers. You're supposed to trust me to fix this. Why should I trust you? I don't even know you. Because I'm all you've got. They were shouting now, faces inches apart, all the fear and adrenaline and impossible circumstances boiling over into anger because anger was easier than helplessness. Jin's chest heaved. I need to do something. Anything. Shayla's mind raced. He was right on the edge, ready to do something stupid and heroic that would get them both killed. She needed to redirect him, give him purpose. Okay. Okay. You want to do something. Help me build a case against David. You know him. You know the business. There has to be something we can use. Jin's jaw clenched. He's careful. Always has been. Nobody's that careful. Think. Money laundering, embezzlement, anything shady in your company finances. We've always been clean. That was important to both of us. What about personal life? Affairs? Gambling? Debts? Jin shook his head, then paused. Wait. There was about 6 months ago, David went to Korea. Business trip, he said. But I found out later there was no business. He lied about it. What was he doing there? I don't know. I asked him about it and he got defensive. Said it was personal. I let it go. Shayla pulled out her laptop. Korea. That's interesting. What dates? As Jin tried to remember, Shayla's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but instinct made her pick up. Hello. Ms. Washington. The voice was smooth, male, unfamiliar. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Her blood turned to ice. Who is this? A concerned party. You were paid to complete a job. The job is not complete. I don't know what you're talking about. Please don't insult either of us. Jin Park is alive. You were seen leaving with him. Now, I'm a reasonable man. I understand that sometimes circumstances change. Sometimes we have moral complications. So I'm going to make you an offer. Shayla's hand tightened on the phone. Jin was watching her, alarmed. I'm listening. Finish the job. Tonight. Send proof. And I'll triple your fee. $600,000. Enough to disappear properly. Start over somewhere beautiful. And if I refuse? Then tomorrow morning, your brother Marcus Washington, currently a freshman at University of Washington, will have a very unfortunate accident. As will you. As will Mr. Park. Everyone dies. Or you make the smart choice, one person dies and everyone else lives. Including you. The line went dead. Shayla stood frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear, her mind screaming. Who was that? Jin asked. She couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. They'd found her. They knew about Marcus. Her baby brother, the one person in the world she'd done all of this for, was now a target. Shayla, who was on the phone. She finally lowered it, her hand shaking. We have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where I have to choose between killing you or letting my brother die. Jin's face went pale. What? Shayla sank into a chair, her mind racing through scenarios, options, none of them good. That was David's people. They know you're alive. They know I helped you. And now they're threatening Marcus. Your brother? The one I helped. Yeah. Poetic, isn't it? She laughed, but it came out broken. I saved your life and now I have to take it to save his. You're not going to. I don't know what I'm going to do. She stood abruptly, pacing. You don't get it. Marcus is everything. He's 19. He's studying engineering. He's got a future. He's good and smart and he has no idea what I am or what I've done to keep him safe and in school and… Shayla. I can't let him die. I can't. Shayla, look at me. She did. Jin's eyes were steady now, calm in a way that made no sense given the circumstances. We'll figure this out, he said quietly. How? They want proof of your death by morning or Marcus dies. There's no figuring out. There's just impossible choices. Then we fake it. Shayla blinked. What? We fake my death. Send them proof. Buy ourselves time. They'll want a body. Photos. Something concrete. So we give it to them. I have a friend who works in special effects. Movie industry. If I can contact him. Your phone is being tracked. The moment you call anyone. Not my phone. A burner. You must have burners. She did. Multiple. Even if we could fake photos, they'll verify. They'll check hospitals, morgues. David has resources. Jin was already thinking, she could see it in his eyes. The CEO brain kicking in, the problem solver. What if it's not a body? What if it's a suicide? What? Think about it. I'm distraught. My fiancé is being questioned by police. My business partner is missing, possibly dead in the shooting. I drive my car off a bridge. Body swept away. Tragic. Believable. Shayla's mind raced through it. They'd still search. Drag the water. Not if the current is strong enough. Not if conditions are bad. It would take days to find anything. By then, you'd have time to protect your brother, to dig up dirt on David. It was insane. It might also be their only option. I need to get Marcus somewhere safe first, Shayla said. If we're doing this, I need him off the grid before we send any proof. Can you do that without alerting David's people? I have one contact I trust. Ex-military. Owes me a favor. He can extract Marcus, make it look random. Mugging gone wrong, witnesses say he was taken to the hospital but there's no record because I'll have him on a plane to my aunt in Atlanta before anyone can verify. You have this all worked out. I've been planning my own exit strategy for 3 years. Never thought I'd be using it for this. Jin nodded slowly. Okay. So we save your brother, fake my death, and then what? Then you stay dead while I burn David Chen's life to the ground. Before we get to the ending, if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now because part 2 of this story is going to be absolutely insane. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. The next 6 hours were chaos. Shayla made 3 calls on encrypted lines, moving pieces into place like a chess game, where every move could be fatal. Her contact, Marcus, had him extracted from campus at 4 a.m., fake police badges, and a story about his sister being in an accident. By the time anyone could verify, he'd be in Atlanta. Jin and Shayla drove to a location 2 hours north, a bridge over a ravine where the water ran fast and deep. Jin's car, called through a driving service with a burner phone app, sat at the edge. This feels surreal, Jin said, staring at his Tesla. It's about to get more surreal. Shayla had brought supplies. Jin changed into different clothes, then back into what he'd been wearing. The switched-out clothes were doused in his cologne, stuffed with weights, placed in the car. His phone, wallet, watch. Everything that made Jin Park identifiable. They'll test for DNA, Jin worried. I've got hair from your jacket. Blood from a cut on your hand. It'll be enough for initial identification. By the time they run full tests, we'll have what we need. Jin touched his car one more time. I loved this car. It's just a car. It's my life. Everything I worked for. And I'm watching it go over a cliff. Better it than you. Shayla set everything up. The angle. The trajectory. She'd done this before, unfortunately. Knew exactly how to make it look real. Get back, she ordered. Jin stepped away. She released the brake. The Tesla rolled forward, slowly at first, then faster. It hit the edge and went airborne for a moment, suspended against the pre-dawn sky, before plunging into the ravine below. The splash was massive. The current immediately began pulling it downstream. Jin made a sound like he'd been punched. It's done, Shayla said quietly. She took photos. Angles that showed the skid marks, the bridge, the water below. Sent them to the number that had called her. The response came 2 minutes later. Acceptable. Payment transferred. Pleasure doing business. Shayla felt sick. She'd just confirmed the death of the man standing next to her. Taken payment for murder without committing it. Crossed lines she'd never come back from. Is Marcus safe? Jin asked. She checked her other phone. A text from her contact. Package delivered. 0 complications. Good. That's good. They stood on the bridge as dawn broke, 2 ghosts watching Jin Park's life disappear into the water. What now? He asked. Now we make David pay. They returned to the safe house just as news broke. Tech CEO Jin Park's car found in ravine. Search underway. Presumed suicide. Fiancé devastated. Jin watched the coverage with dead eyes. Footage of Minji, being escorted from her apartment by her sister, sobbing so hard she could barely walk. I did that to her, he whispered. David did that to her. I want him destroyed. You will be. Shayla opened her laptop and started digging. David's trip to Korea 6 months ago. She had contacts overseas, people who could access records that normal investigators couldn't touch. It took 3 hours, but she found it. Jin. Look at this. He came over, looked at the screen. Bank records. Large transfers. Offshore accounts. David was moving money. A lot of money. Company money. He's been embezzling. Not exactly. Look at the dates. Look at what was happening with your company around this time. Jin's eyes widened. The venture capital funding. We were in the middle of raising our Series C. And David was siphoning funds, making it look like the company was performing worse than it was, driving down valuation. So he could buy more equity at a lower price. Then when the merger happened, he'd own the majority. You'd be pushed out or bought out at the depressed value. Jin's hands clenched into fists. That bastard. We were friends. I trusted him. Greed makes people do terrible things. This is enough to go to the SEC. To the FBI. It's a start. But we need more. We need direct evidence that he hired the hit. How do we get that? Shayla smiled, but it wasn't pleasant. We make him think he's won. Then we watch what he does next. Over the next week, they monitored everything. David's movements. His communications. Shayla had planted malware on his devices months ago during initial reconnaissance. Now it was paying off. David was celebrating. Dinners with investors. Meetings with lawyers. Moving to consolidate control of the company. He'd sent flowers to Minji with a card expressing his condolences. Made a public statement about how his dear friend Jin would be missed. "I want to kill him myself," Jin muttered. "Get in line." Then, on day 8, David made a mistake. He met with someone at a restaurant. Shayla recognized the man from her old life. A fixer. Someone who arranged problems to go away. "That's him," she said, zooming in on the photo her surveillance had captured. "That's the man who called me. Who threatened Marcus. Can we hear what they're saying?" I planted a bug on David's phone. Hold on. The audio was scratchy but clear enough. David's voice, certain she completed it. The fixer, photos were convincing. The car recovery matches. Park is dead. And the woman? Shayla. Paid and gone. Disappeared like they do. No loose ends. None. You're clear. There was a pause, then David's laugh. Cold. Victorious. Jin Park. My oldest friend. If only you'd agreed to step down quietly. Could have avoided all this unpleasantness. Jin's face went white with rage. We've got him, Shayla said. That's confession. Motive. Connection to the hit. Is it enough? With the financial crimes? Yeah. It's enough. They spent 2 more days building an airtight case. Shayla had contacts with journalists. People who'd expose this in a way that David couldn't buy or threaten his way out of. Once we release this, there's no going back, Shayla warned. You'll have to reveal you're alive. Face everything. I know. Minji will hate you. I know that too. Jin looked at Shayla, really looked at her. 2 weeks they'd spent in this cabin together. 2 weeks of fighting for survival, learning each other's stories, becoming something neither of them had expected. Thank you, he said quietly. For saving my life. For risking yours. Thank you for giving me a reason to. There was a moment where something passed between them. Something complicated and inappropriate and undeniable. Jin stepped closer. Shayla. Her phone rang. Not her regular phone. Her old one. The one only certain people had the number to. She answered with dread. Ms. Washington. We need to talk about your brother Marcus. Her blood froze. He's safe. He's in Atlanta. No, dear. He's here. With us. Has been for 3 days now. Did you really think that extraction was real? That we didn't have your contact compromised? The world tilted. No. No, you're lying. Am I? Would you like to hear him scream? Don't you touch him. Don't you dare. Then you'll complete your original contract. The real contract. Jin Park dies. Today. Or Marcus does. And this time, we'll be watching. We'll verify the body personally. Please. Please, I'll do anything. I'll give you anything. You'll give us Jin Park's life. You have 2 hours. The line went dead. Shayla stood frozen, the phone slipping from her hand. What happened? Jin asked. Shayla, what's wrong? She turned to him, tears streaming down her face, the gun suddenly in her hand before she even realized she'd grabbed it. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. Jin's eyes went to the gun. Understanding dawned. They have Marcus. He's been gone for days, and I didn't know. I thought he was safe. I thought. Shayla put the gun down. I can't. Jin, I can't. He's my brother. He's everything. I know. I know he is. I have to choose. You or him. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but I choose him. She raised the gun, her hand shaking so badly she could barely hold it. Jin didn't run. Didn't fight. Just looked at her with those dark eyes full of understanding and forgiveness she didn't deserve. It's okay, he said softly. Shayla, it's okay. I understand. Don't make this harder. If this is how I go, at least it's protecting someone. That's not a bad death. Her finger tightened on the trigger. And that's when the door burst open. FBI. Hands where we can see them. Everything happened at once. Agents flooding in. Shayla's gun being knocked from her hand. Jin being pulled away. Voices shouting. Someone reading her rights. Through the chaos, one agent stepped forward. Female. Familiar. Agent Sarah Chen, she said. I've been investigating David Chen for 18 months. And you two just handed me everything I needed. Shayla's mind spun. What? How? Your surveillance of David? We were surveilling you, surveilling him. Every piece of evidence you compiled, we have too. Plus now we have his confession to conspiracy to commit murder. But Marcus. Your brother is actually safe. Has been the whole time. The extraction was real. The call just now. That was David's fixer making one last desperate play. We traced it. He's being arrested as we speak. Shayla's legs gave out. An agent caught her. Is this real? She whispered. It's real. David Chen is done. You're both safe. Jin was staring at the agent. Chen. Are you related to David? He's my cousin. When I heard he might be involved in corporate espionage, I volunteered for the case. Took 18 months to build enough evidence. You two accelerated the timeline considerably. Shayla looked at Jin. He looked back. They'd done it. Survived. 1. Ms. Washington, Agent Chen said, her voice harder now. You're still under arrest. You've admitted to multiple felonies. That doesn't go away just because you helped us. I know. But given your cooperation, and the fact that you ultimately chose not to commit murder, the DA might be willing to make a deal. Witness protection. New identity. A chance to start over. A chance to start over. Shayla had never imagined that was possible. And Jin, she asked. Mr. Park is free to go. Resume his life. His fiancée has been notified he's alive. She's on her way now. Minji. The pregnant fiancée. The woman who'd watched her kiss Jin before everything went to hell. Jin's face was unreadable. Can I have a moment, he asked. With Shayla. Agent Chen looked between them, then nodded. 2 minutes. The agent stepped back, giving them space but keeping weapons ready. Jin moved close to Shayla, his voice low. What you did for me. I almost killed you. Twice. Once for money, once for my brother. But you didn't. Either time. That's what matters. Minji's coming. You're going to be a father. You get your life back. And what do you get? Witness protection. A new name. Maybe Marcus can join me eventually. It's more than I deserve. Jin's hand moved like he wanted to touch her face, then fell. I don't think I'll ever forget you, Shayla Washington. Try. It'll be easier. Nothing about this has been easy. The door burst open again. A woman rushed in, perfect even in her distress, her hand protectively over her stomach. Jin. Oh my God, Jin. Minji threw herself into his arms, sobbing, and Jin held her, whispered comfort, played the role of the relieved fiancé who'd survived a nightmare. But over her shoulder, his eyes found Shayla's. And in that look was everything they'd never say. Everything that had grown in 2 weeks of survival and secrets. Everything that could never be. Agent Chen touched Shayla's arm. Time to go. As they led her out, Shayla took one last look at Jin Park. At the life he'd return to. The woman he'd marry. The child he'd raise. She'd saved him. And somehow he'd saved her too. 3 months later, Shayla Washington no longer existed. In her place was Maya Torres, living in a small town in Oregon, working at a community center teaching self-defense to women escaping domestic violence. Marcus had joined her after a month, enrolled in online classes, building a life beside his sister who'd sacrificed everything to keep him safe. She tried not to think about Jin. Tried not to wonder if he'd married Minji, if the baby had been born, if he'd ever thought about the woman who'd kissed him to save his life. Then one Tuesday, a letter arrived. No return address. Postmarked Seattle. Inside was a newspaper clipping. The birth announcement for Jin and Minji Park's daughter. And a note, handwritten. Her middle name is Shay. So I never forget what Grace looks like. Thank you. J. Shayla's hand shook as she read it. Read it again. Grace. Maybe that's what they'd both found in the wreckage. Not redemption. Not forgiveness. But grace. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct she answered. Ms. Torres. The voice was professional. Female. This is attorney Jennifer Kim. I represent Jin Park. He's asked me to contact you regarding a matter of some urgency. Shayla's heart stopped. I'm in witness protection. He shouldn't know how to find me. Mr. Park has resources. And a request. His marriage to Minji Park has ended. Divorced 3 weeks ago. Terms were amicable. He maintains full parental rights to his daughter. Why are you telling me this? Because he wanted you to know he's free. And he's wondering if you'd be willing to meet. Shayla closed her eyes. This was insane. Dangerous. Against every rule of her new life. When she heard herself ask. Tomorrow. There's a cafe in Portland. Neutral ground. He'll be alone. Every logical part of Shayla's brain screamed no. This was the past trying to claw its way into her future. This was risk and complication and everything she'd worked to escape. But she thought of his eyes over Minji's shoulder. Of 2 weeks in a cabin fighting for survival. Of the kiss that saved his life and the choice that saved hers. What time? She asked. The attorney told her. The call ended. Shayla stood in her small apartment, holding a birth announcement for a baby named after her, facing a choice that would define everything that came next. Behind her, Marcus walked in. You okay? She turned, smiled. Yeah. Just deciding who I want to be. Haven't you already decided? Maya Torres. Clean slate. Maybe. Or maybe Maya Torres gets to make different choices than Shayla Washington did. Better ones. The next day, Shayla drove to Portland. The cafe was small, quiet, the kind of place where people minded their own business. Jin sat at a corner table, wearing jeans and a sweater, looking nothing like the CEO, and everything like a man who'd walked through fire and survived. He saw her. Stood. Shayla hesitated at the door. Then walked inside. Whatever happened next, whatever this was or could be, she was choosing it. Not running from her past. Not hiding from her future. Just choosing. They sat across from each other, 2 people who'd saved each other's lives in the most complicated way possible. Hi, Jin said softly. Hi. Thank you for coming. I almost didn't. But you did. But I did. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Jin slid something across the table. A flash drive. What's this? Everything I know about the organization that hired you. Names. Accounts. Operations. I've spent 3 months investigating them with private security. I want to help take them down. Shayla stared at the drive. Why? Because they hurt people. Because they would have killed you and your brother without blinking. Because. He paused. Because I can't go back to who I was before I knew this world existed. And I can't just ignore it. This isn't your fight. Maybe it is. Maybe the only way I honor the second chance you gave me is to fight for other people who need saving. Shayla picked up the drive, turning it over in her hands. This is dangerous. I know. The FBI won't protect you again. You do this, you're on your own. I won't be alone though. Will I? His eyes held a question. An offer. A possibility. Shayla thought about Maya Torres. About the quiet life she'd built. About safety and peace and everything she'd fought for. Then she thought about Shayla Washington. About the woman who'd walked into a gala to kill a man, and walked out saving him instead. About grace and second chances and the possibility of becoming something new. No, she said quietly. You won't be alone. Jin smiled. Really smiled. And something in Shayla's chest that had been locked for years cracked open. So what do we do first? He asked. Shayla plugged in the flash drive to her laptop, opening the files. Names scrolled past. Operations. Victims. An entire network of pain and profit. First, she said, we burn it all down. But as the data loaded, one name appeared that made her freeze. Agent Sarah Chen. The FBI agent who'd arrested them. Who'd claimed to be investigating David independently. Her name was listed in the organization's files. Not as an investigator. As a partner. Shayla's blood ran cold. Jin. Look at this. He leaned over, read the screen, and his face went pale. The FBI agent who arrested us. Is working for them. Has been the whole time. Which meant everything they'd told the FBI. Every piece of evidence. Every plan. Was compromised. Jin's phone buzzed. He looked at it and his face went white. What? He turned the screen to her. A text from an unknown number. Did you really think you could investigate us? We've been watching you both. You have 24 hours to destroy all evidence and disappear. Or everyone you love dies. Starting with your daughter. Below the text was a photo. Jin's baby girl, sleeping in her crib. Someone had been inside his ex-wife's house. Inside his daughter's room. Jin's hands shook so badly he dropped the phone. Shayla caught it, stared at the photo, and felt rage replace fear. They just made a mistake, she said quietly. What? She looked up at Jin, and he saw something in her eyes that was terrifying and beautiful at once. They threatened a child. His child. My brother was one thing. But this? She smiled, and it was the smile of Shayla Washington, the woman who'd survived hell and learned to fight back. Now it's personal. Jin stared at her. Then slowly, his fear transformed into something else. Determination. Fury. Tell me what to do. Shayla was already typing, already planning, already 3 steps ahead. We don't run. We don't hide. We go to war. Outside the cafe window, a black SUV pulled up. Tinted windows. Government plates. Agent Sarachan stepped out, looking directly at the cafe. Looking directly at them. Shayla saw her. Jin saw her. Back exit, Shayla said calmly. Now. They moved fast, leaving everything on the table, heading for the kitchen. The staff barely noticed as they slipped through, out into the alley. Shayla's car was 2 blocks away. They ran. Behind them, the cafe door opened. Agents poured out. Stop. FBI. But they weren't FBI. Not really. They were something much worse. Shayla and Jin reached the car, dove inside. She peeled out just as the first shot shattered the rear window. Get down, she screamed. Jin ducked as bullets punched through metal. Shayla drove like the professional she was, weaving through traffic, taking corners at speeds that made pedestrians scatter. Are we going to die? Jin asked, breathless. Not today. She made a hard left, then another, losing the SUV in the maze of Portland streets. Her mind was racing. They needed allies. Weapons. A plan. And they needed to protect Jin's daughter. Call Minji, she ordered. Tell her to take the baby and run. Tell her to trust no one, especially not law enforcement. Jin dialed with shaking hands. She'll think I'm insane. Better insane than dead. The phone rang. Rang. Went to voicemail. Jin tried again. Nothing. Something's wrong, he said. She always answers when it's about the baby. Shayla's jaw clenched. Where does she live? Shayla, no. If we go there, we could be leading them right to her. They're already there. That photo was taken tonight. They're watching her. Watching the baby. We go now or we lose them both. Jin gave her the address. Shayla drove faster. When they arrived at Minji's house 15 minutes later, everything looked normal. Lights on. Car in the driveway. Too normal. Stay here, Shayla ordered, reaching for the gun she'd retrieved from her safe house before coming to Portland. She's my daughter. Which is why I need you alive to protect her. Stay. Here. Shayla moved toward the house, every instinct screaming danger. The front door was unlocked. Never a good sign. She cleared the first floor. Empty. Moved upstairs. The nursery door was open. Inside, the crib was empty. But on the mobile hanging above it was a note. Shayla grabbed it, read it, and felt her world collapse. We have them both. Mother and child. Come to the address below. Alone. Unarmed. You have 1 hour. Or we start sending pieces. Below was an address in an industrial district. It was a trap. Obviously. They'd walk in and be killed. But Jin's daughter was there. His ex-wife. Innocent people caught in a war they didn't start. Shayla walked back to the car. Jin saw her face and knew. They took them. Yes. Then we go get them. It's a trap. I don't care. Shayla looked at this man who'd gone from CEO to fugitive to warrior in 3 months. Who'd lost everything and was still fighting. We'll die, she said softly. Then we die. But we die fighting for something that matters. And there it was. The moment where everything came down to a choice. Run and live. Fight and die. Shayla thought about her brother, safe in Oregon. About the quiet life she'd built. About all the reasons to walk away. Then she thought about a baby girl who'd been named Shay. About grace and second chances and the possibility of becoming something better than what you were. Okay, she said. Let's go save your daughter. She started the car, headed for the address. Beside her, Jin loaded weapons with hands that no longer shook. They'd started this story with a kiss that saved his life. Now they'd finish it with something far more dangerous. A choice to fight together, no matter the cost. The industrial building loomed ahead. Dark. Abandoned. Waiting. Shayla parked 3 blocks away. Whatever happens in there, Jin said quietly, I want you to know. Don't, Shayla cut him off. Don't say goodbye. We're walking out of this. Both of us. With your daughter. How can you be sure? She looked at him, really looked at him, and smiled. Because I've died before. This time, I choose to live. They got out of the car and walked toward the building. Toward whatever ending waited. Together.